Thank you very much, Kim. To say that I'm intimidated by following past President Ian Reisley is an understatement. So hopefully I'm inspired and can do justice. So thank you very much for inviting me today. It is indeed a privilege and a pleasure to be here tonight. I'm here to talk about Cooperative for Education. And you're going to hear me talk about GLP, the Guatemala Literacy Program, and also Cooperative for Education. They're kind of interchangeable. Cooperative for Education is the organization. GLP is the Rotary initiative that's part of Guatemala Literacy Program. It enjoys a 27-year partnership. See if I can, I worked that. Cooperative for Education enjoys a 27 now year partnership with Rotary International. It is an initiative to provide badly needed textbooks, reading materials, computer centers for children in Guatemala. A number of you I know today have participated in the Guatemala Literacy Program. It has one mission and one mission alone, and that is to help Guatemalan school children break the cycle of poverty. I am convinced, the more I've been involved in this program, that the one thing that we can really do to change the world, which is what you talked about, Ian, the one thing that we can do is education. I think it's one of the most important things if we want to make really significant changes. Giving people things, it helps, but education changes the world. Why Guatemala? Now, Guatemala is a beautiful country in Central America. Many of you may have visited other countries in Central America, but there's one word, and it's poverty. Extreme combinations of systemic poverty, illiteracy, and inequality exist in Guatemala. There was a 30-year civil war that I think ended in 1999. A peace treaty was signed in 2000. When I first went to Guatemala in 2010, we saw a lot of the remnants of that war. When we talked to children, they would tell us about a parent that they lost, a sibling. They had memories of that war. They're coming out of that now. So we're seeing a lot of changes. Now, the indigenous people, and Suzanne, I thought about this as you were speaking, because we need to get Guatemala where we are in terms of recognizing the fact that they were there first. There is extreme systematic prejudice against the indigenous people in Guatemala and the Mayans. So the fact is that the average woman in Guatemala has about 2 years of education. So really, it's a recipe for disaster, because then their kids don't go to school, and it's so on and so on. The Guatemala Literacy Program is just one of many programs in Guatemala to help education. But we're seeing a huge difference. That's one of the nice things about Rotary being part of Guatemala for so many years, because we're seeing those changes as we go to kids' graduations. Then we're seeing their children being educated and staying in school even longer. It was in 1996 that brothers Joe and Jeff Berninger left successful private sector careers at IBM and Procter & Gamble to go to Guatemala. One of them went, I think he was going to take off one semester from work to go and help and teach, and he got to a school and he realized there was a problem. There wasn't any resources. There were no books. They didn't really have any training to teach. More of a glorified kind of babysitting service is what he really recognized. So he started a program to raise money for textbooks, and it was focused at middle school, grades 7, 8, and 9 approximately at that time. He raised money for these books. He helped select the books, obviously in the Spanish language. And one thing I should explain is that the goal of this program is to have children be literate in Spanish. A lot of them speak their Mayan languages. So in order for them to be successful, they need to speak Spanish. Now, I did worry that we were taking away their original languages. I thought a lot about that. And when one of the students recently told me his favorite class was Ketchikel, I thought, that pride is there. And he ended up giving a valedictory speech, by the way, in Ketchikel, English and Spanish, which was amazing. But this Jeff went there to spend one semester. He ended up raising the money for the books. That was in 1996. He never left. His brother came and joined them. They started the organization, and literally the rest is history. Now, Guatemala is a beautiful, beautiful country. If you've never been, it's certainly worth visiting. The Guatemala Literacy Program, a little behind. By the way, this is the Santa Catalina Arch, and it's an iconic picture. If you ever read about Guatemala or see anything about Guatemala, you'll see this picture. And what it is it's an arch that existed between a school and a church. And the nuns, because they were cloistered, would travel on that arch. That's how they got from one side of the street to the other. So it's a fantastic place to visit. The program consists basically of a textbook program, the one I described already, computer centers, the Spark Reading Program, and that was a Rotarian from Maine who I think 25 years ago went on a tour and decided that if you're really going to get the best out of those textbooks, the kids had to have a joy of reading first. So they started a reading program, and I went and saw one of the first reading programs, and I had the wrong impression. I thought every child would get a book. Silly me. I found out that every classroom got a book, and it just made me realize it's a different world. It is a different world, but man, they make that work. On Monday, they read the book, so there's one book per week per classroom. On Monday, they read the book. On Tuesday, the kids read the book. On Wednesday, they act it out, they write it out, and if you're really lucky, you might get to take a book home. And for these kids, it's a privilege. It's a real privilege. The last program that was developed was the RISE Scholarship and Youth Development Program, probably one of the ones that more people are familiar with. And what that was all about was they realized that we need kids to stay in school even longer. So it wasn't good enough just to get them through middle school. We wanted them to stay through Diversicado, which is their high school. And now we're seeing more and more kids in that program go on to Diversicado and actually graduate, which is a lot of fun. Now, there are a number of opportunities to travel to Guatemala. There is the Rotary GLP tour. It is a 10-day tour that takes place in February every year, where you have an opportunity to visit schools, you have an opportunity to meet some of the kids in the program, the teachers, see the teachers training, and it's a fantastic opportunity that I'd recommend for anyone. For those who tell me they're a little worried about international work, this is a really well-organized, I'm not going to say easy, but definitely a good way to start into international work. And I think Jennifer's nodding. I think she would agree. And I did go with Jennifer to, I think we attended a graduation some years ago. And of course, again, the rest is history. She's been a huge supporter of the program. There's also a snapshot tour that COED offers that's available to non-Rotarians as well as Rotarians, where you spend a shorter amount of time and snapshot, see a little bit of the program. And then the last one that's available only in District 6400 is what Joyce Jones named the Taste of GLP. And it's an opportunity to travel there, see some of the sights, see a beautiful country, but also see the program and see the difference that the program is making. We had the good fortune last year of having Jennifer there as Rotary President International during a GLP tour, and celebrated 25 years of the RISE program, saw some students, and one of my favorite stories from last year was that of course, all the dignitaries and the important people, because the Rotary president were there, were sitting at the front, and the kids were in the back and on the side. And Jennifer looked at it and said, I think you got this wrong. And so as we started the program, there's music and singing. She got the kids up, dancing and singing, and that's a really, really nice memory for me. for sure. Kids of every age there. You can see some of the, we were at a younger school that week when Jennifer was visiting the Spark program. And the best news I could tell you today is that there's been a significant increase in literacy rates. And Rick, you're going to have to help me with the percentages in terms of math, but 96, they were saying the rates were 64%, and we're in the 80s now. So certainly the rates are rising, and there's improvement there. You have opportunity to spend some time with the kids, to do some exercises, to meet some of the teachers, and sometimes even attend graduation. The GLP program is a worldwide program. This map will show you all of the clubs and Rotary clubs that support the GLP throughout North America. One of the best things, and some people who've been on tour would agree with me, is going when some of the Cayman Island folks are with you, because they love it and they really enjoy it, and are a lot of fun to be on tour with. Many people go year after year, but the most important thing is the student success and supporting the students. You'll notice a computer there. Computers are only available in some of the larger areas. In some areas, there'll only be a textbook program, a Spark reading program. Teacher training has become a very big part of the GLP, for sure. Now, call to action, because we are Rotary people of action. What can you do? You can make a donation. You can sponsor a student. Now, one of the things I like to say about sponsoring a student is chances are people in this room have the ability to sponsor a student, but you also have a lot of other responsibilities and a lot of other things that you want to support. So maybe you get 5 friends together. The average cost to sponsor a student is about $1,000 US for a year, and we hope to start them at grade 7 and then go to the end of high school, so grade 12. And maybe you get a group of friends and you watch that. Maybe you can afford to do it yourself. There is any number of ways to support a student, but instead of just simply saying, you know, it's not for me right now, again, there's a lot of ways. Maybe you have a friend, you know somebody else who wants to do something, someone that says, you know, I don't have time for Rotary, but I want to do something. Well, we have an idea for you. You can visit Guatemala and see the program for yourself. You can follow it, you can support it, and you can tell others about it. We have a table here this evening, and it will be here all weekend. There's a sign-up sheet. If you just want to put your email address down, we can follow up with a lot more information. There's a number of people, Joyce, Suzanne, a number of people from the Roseland Club who have been to Guatemala and could certainly provide more information. Again, the main thing is to break the cycle of poverty, and that is really what the Guatemala Literacy Program is all about. Thank you very much, and enjoy your evening.